Look at your child's week right now. School, then soccer, then tutoring, then piano, then homework, then bed. Somewhere in there, maybe, if nothing runs late, 20 free minutes before dinner. We didn't do this to be cruel. We did it because we love them, and because it feels like every empty hour is a wasted opportunity. But there's a quiet Japanese word for exactly the thing that's missing from that schedule: Yutori. And once you understand it, you may never look at a fully booked afternoon the same way again. By the end of this video, you'll know what Yutori actually means, why an empty afternoon might be doing more for your child's brain than the piano lesson is, and the specific amount of unscheduled time worth protecting every single week. That number is coming, so stay with me. Yutori means spare room, margin, breathing space. It's the gap between things, the part of a room that isn't furniture, the part of a schedule that isn't booked. Here's what's interesting. In Japan, this word actually became a national conversation a couple of decades ago when the education system deliberately built more Yutori, more unstructured time, into the school day, specifically to counter years of intense academic pressure. It didn't go perfectly, and we'll get to that honestly in a minute, but the idea behind it, the belief that a child needs empty space as much as they need activity, is worth taking seriously on its own. Because here's the thing modern childhood keeps forgetting. Unstructured time isn't the absence of development. Researchers who study play have found again and again that free, unsupervised, unstructured play is where children build some of their most important skills, working out disagreements themselves, managing boredom, inventing their own games, discovering what they're actually interested in when nobody's directing them. None of that happens during piano lessons. It only happens in the gap, in the Yutori. So why do we fill it anyway? A few honest reasons. Guilt, mostly. Free time can feel like we're not doing enough as parents. Comparison, everyone else's kid seems to be in 4 activities. And genuine fear that unstructured time means falling behind. But here's the quiet cost nobody warns you about. A child who is never bored never has to solve the problem of their own boredom, and that problem-solving, dreaming something up out of nothing, is actually one of the richest exercises a young brain can do. Every time we fill the gap for them, with an activity, a screen, a plan, we quietly take that exercise away. Here's the number I promised. Aim for at least one large, unscheduled block, 2 hours or more, at least twice a week, with no activity, no lesson, no plan attached. Not downtime between things. An actual open block, treated on the calendar with the same seriousness as the soccer practice. Why does it need to be that specific? Because vague intentions to have some free time get eaten alive by the first activity that wants that slot. A real block, written down, protected, is the only version that survives a busy week. 2 2-hour blocks isn't a lot to ask for. It's just enough to let a child actually sink into something self-directed, instead of skimming the surface of 15 unscheduled minutes before the next thing starts. Here's the second piece, and it's the hardest one. When that open block starts and your child says, "I'm bored," the instinct is to fix it. Suggest something. Hand them a device. Solve the emptiness for them. Try, instead, to simply not solve it. Let the boredom sit there, uncomfortable, for a while. This is genuinely hard to watch, especially the first few times. But boredom is often the exact discomfort that precedes a child inventing their own game. Digging into a box of odds and ends, staring at the ceiling and having an idea. If you rescue them from boredom every time, they never build the muscle that turns boredom into invention. Here's the third piece, and it's physical, not just about time. Yutori also means literal spare space, a room that isn't crammed with every toy and gadget available. A shelf that isn't overflowing. A corner that's just empty, waiting for whatever a child decides to bring into it. A cluttered, overstimulating room, oddly, can produce the same flatness as an overscheduled week. Too much input, no room left for a child's own imagination to fill in the blanks. So alongside protecting time, it's worth occasionally protecting physical space too. Fewer toys out at once. a little visual quiet in the room they play in most. Now, the honest part, because this word actually has a real cautionary history worth knowing. When Japan's education reforms leaned heavily into Yutori a couple of decades ago, cutting curriculum hours to create more breathing room, test scores dipped, and it became a widely debated, somewhat controversial policy. Many of those reforms were later walked back. So the honest lesson isn't unstructured time is always better. Structure is bad. It's that balance is the actual goal, not the extreme in either direction. A completely packed week starves a child's own initiative. A completely empty one, with no structure, no expectations, no engagement from you at all, can drift into something closer to neglect than freedom. The Yutori worth building is deliberate breathing room inside a life that still has rhythm, meals, bedtime, connection, not the absence of a life at all. So, Yutori, the empty space on purpose. 2 protected hours, at least twice a week, treated as seriously as any lesson. Boredom, left alone long enough to turn into invention. And a little literal space in the room, not just the schedule. You don't need to cancel every activity your child loves. You just need to make sure the week has room left over for absolutely nothing, on purpose, because that nothing is where a surprising amount of who your child is quietly gets to happen. Tell me in the comments, could your child's week actually fit 2 open 2-hour blocks right now? Be honest, I'd love to know. This is The Quiet Garden, one gentle Japanese idea every week for raising calm, secure kids. Subscribe and take a breath. You're doing better than you think.